Alrighty. So in this video, I'm going to be going over how women show interest and why it is really important. Now, the crazy thing that I find today is that men and women, for that matter, are not taught some of these things. So women already kind of know a lot of this subconsciously, but men are not taught both how to demonstrate pre-selection or how women show interest, which I find very funny, and kind of an indicator of how men are not taught like really important and basic things today. Now, with this video, this is basically the female equivalent of pre-selection, basically the demonstrating pre-selection video. So the way the woman will, for instance, show whether or not that man is pre-selected is by showing interest to that man. So yeah, that's sort of a pretty important point. Anyways, let's get to it. Now, why is knowing all of this important? Now, men and women do not converse the same way. And because of this, men sometimes do not understand or are able to, quote unquote, read between the lines, which men are not taught how to do at all. And they don't necessarily have this in their subconscious wiring either. And basically, read between the lines is another way of saying what the subconscious is saying. And because of this is basically why they interpret what you say, like word for word, to be, oh, okay, that's what they're saying, rather than, oh, wait, she's trying to get me to read between the lines. And men, sadly, they can't figure this out because they're not taught this, and it's really sad. And this might be a little bit confusing, but whenever somebody is saying anything or doing anything at all, actually, this demonstrates two thoughts or two, I guess you could say, things that are incredibly essential to understand, because you can use this, by the way, not just when it comes to reading a woman and reading between the lines, but also maybe a man or a businessman specifically, and how they're being a little bit more devious, because this is what a businessman is designed to do. They're designed to be able to read between the lines a little bit better. And what I mean by this is you can read the conscious and the subconscious based on their actions and their response. Now, here's a really good example to demonstrate this in action. Specifically, I'm talking not about a businessman, but a woman. So a woman will, for instance, put an outfit on, and then she'll say, quote unquote, does this make my butt look big, right? That consciously, she's asking a question about the clothes and basically how she looks in the clothes. Subconsciously, what she's actually asking, though, is for desire and basically reassurance and validation. So that's sort of how you can understand this conscious versus subconscious thing. Now, this is why it is essential to understand this. The way communication and asking for a specific thing, both by men and women, are completely different. And what is being asked by women is almost always implicit and not explicit. And by the end of this video, you'll get really good at this, and you'll be able to basically understand how women think if you really do this over and over again. By understanding most things are able to be read by the conscious and the subconscious. So there's always a conscious meaning to what they are saying, the literal words that they are saying, and then there's always a subconscious meaning to what they are saying, maybe the intent or the action. And you'll be able to interpret things much more indirectly rather than directly. So this is why it's really, really important to understand this. And you can also understand whether or not a woman is viewing another woman as competition based on her body language and how she's reacting to that other woman. Basically, it's really, really interesting. Anyways, let's get to it. So the first thing that she does in order to demonstrate interest is she always positions herself to be near you in some way or another. Now, if you aren't familiar with her and she is positioning herself to be around you regularly, this is a clear sign of interest. Now, subconsciously, this indicates attraction or interest in the sense that she feels comfortable and is drawn around you, or feels safe around you. It doesn't really matter exactly. They're mostly the same thing. Now, there's no other reason for that somebody would position themselves around someone else otherwise. And this is a bit more clear cut, but sometimes they aren't as clear cut, and sometimes they're way more subtle. Now, the second way of her demonstrating interest or showing interest is she is touching you. Now, if she is touching you and finding some reason or excuse to touch you, like playfully hitting you for one reason or another because you made a joke or you accidentally bumped into her, basically, repeatedly, over and over again, especially. Now, this is a huge indicator of interest. Subconsciously, if she is getting close enough to touch you, it means that she feels safe around you. And if you don't already know, women, basically no woman at all, will touch a man they don't feel safe around. So you can be a friend and she can touch you, and that's basically means she feels safe around you, but not necessarily she's attracted to you. However, if she's touching you regularly and she's not even necessarily a friend of yours yet, like she doesn't even know you that well yet, then that's a really, really good indicator of attraction. Now, if you fumble situations like this, then it's cooked, and I don't even know how you could do that at that point. But yeah, I mean, honestly, check out the relationship playlist. I will teach all of that because that is just such basic knowledge, and it's free, by the way. Jesus Christ, I should be charging like $100 or $200 for all that information. The third way that she demonstrates interest is she texts first. Now, to initiate something usually means that's what they have on their mind. Now, subconsciously, texting first or initiation of any sort usually actually indicates that you are on their mind, and they would not text you first if they didn't have you on their mind. Doing this once isn't actually a clear indicator of interest, but doing this repeatedly, basically, and seeing this sign of texting first repeatedly is a very clear sign and a super obvious sign of interest. Now, as you can see, my picture here is since I stopped texting first, I haven't heard from a lot of people in a while. So this is an example of what you can do if you want to see whether or not a woman has interest, which, yes, there are actually ways to test whether or not a woman has interest in you and reverse the shit testing. And men don't do this today. And because of this, they're basically constantly friend zoned and without even realizing it because of how oblivious they are sometimes. And it's pretty messed up. So once again, please, you have to learn how to play both sides. You have to learn the game on both directions, both the subconscious game and the conscious game. Men obviously dominate the conscious game, but I believe they can also dominate the subconscious game. And they're designed to, actually, by the way, because men are designed to know a lot and they are designed to be the dom. And being the dom requires a lot of responsibility because it requires a lot of knowledge and understanding. The fourth way of her demonstrating interest is she invests in you financially, physically, and emotionally. Now, if she is investing in you financially, as an example, like buying a gift, or investing in you physically, like providing food or cooking you food, and being emotionally investing in you, for instance, being available whenever you ask. For instance, if you know she's clearly busy and then maybe she's or jealous of other women when other women get around you, and then she suddenly just opens up plans whenever you want to do something, that is a pretty clear indicator that she is very interested in you. And as you can see with my little picture right here, excuses I have used to cancel plans, and the quote-unquote I'm sick, yes, said this, but not that often. Now, this is basically what they could say if they ever want to maybe get away from their friends because you're asking and she's canceling the plans, which is basically another way of showing interest, but we'll get to that eventually. This is sort of a more general definition of this. Now, to do this obviously is a clear indicator of interest by her. And resources into someone else is not for no reason, by the way. This is just a subconscious thing of understanding the subconscious. If you couldn't already see this, then you're blind, and this is too obvious. This is way too obvious. I mean, when somebody invests resources into you, this displays something subconsciously. So remember how I said at the very beginning, every action has a conscious meaning and a subconscious meaning. If you can't see the subconscious meaning of something like this, for instance, then it's completely cooked. Now, the fifth way that she demonstrates interest is she is always looking at you, especially the eyes or the lips. Now, I am quite sure some of us has experienced this. Previously, I experienced this very often when I was actually a little bit younger, and always found it a bit funny, but never really thought about it too much. Yeah. That was me being oblivious back then and not understanding things, not actually understanding that there is a conscious and a subconscious meaning to everything. Now, if she is looking at you and you catch her looking at you and then she suddenly looks away, as the example that I always used to experience, now this is a super obvious sign of interest. And if she is looking at your lips or eyes while you are talking to her, then this is a more so a sign of lust, but it's still attraction and it is interest nonetheless. And by the way, once again, you have to learn how to do all of these things and see all of these things consciously and subconsciously. And I believe that if you aren't able to see these things subconsciously, then you have to really acclimate yourself to them regularly on a daily basis. And also that your family didn't teach you anything, which most families don't teach anything today. So that's sort of a sad part. They teach you standard norms and values, but not some pretty essential things like this, for instance. The sixth thing that she does to demonstrate interest, and she does this one actually by accident, is blushing around you, is shy, and is clumsy. And this is because her part is just going pitter-patter nonstop whenever she's around you. Now, in most cases, the guys she finds intimidating, she will find attractive in most cases. If you have ever experienced your heart beating very quickly around someone you might like, or maybe, for instance, if you've ever experienced the feeling of public speaking and you're not used to that, I'm used to public speaking, so sadly I don't get this as much, but if you've experienced the public speaking experience, spoke in front of the class, and suddenly your heart's racing like that, well, that's basically what they are experiencing in that instance when they are around you, except they are experiencing that all the time when they are around you or whenever you show up. Now, speaking from personal experience on this one, especially the shy and the clumsy one is what I've noticed. The blushes one around you, that one you can sort of see. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to see because they'll hide their face. But the shy and the clumsy one, in the sense that stuff just seemed to fall from their hands so often, or maybe she's really nervous to even look you in the eyes whenever you look at her, that's another sign. Now, you might say this is contradictory to what you just said before. You said before that if she looks at your eyes, then clearly she's interested in you. But if she doesn't look at your eyes, and she's also interested in you. Now, if this is how you understood it, then you didn't understand how this is especially related to your eyes and lips. If she's looking to your eyes and lips especially, not necessarily just your eyes. If she's maintaining eye contact with you and then looking at your eyes or lips, this is the sign. Not just looking at your eyes, but also looking at your lips and maybe your eyes while she's talking to you. So if you notice her glancing down at your lips regularly, then that's more so a sign of lust. That's a different kind of feeling. The seventh way that she demonstrates interest is laughing way too hard and giggling. Now, I am quite sure everybody has seen this at least once. Maybe they aren't the ones on the receiving end of this, but they have seen this at least once. And the most obvious indicator of this is that if you told a joke that clearly is not really funny, and it basically, in my opinion, what I would consider bombed, it's a pretty poor joke, and she is still laughing when nobody else in that group is laughing, you cannot mess this up at this point. If you mess this up, it's completely cooked for you. This is a really high indicator of interest. The whole laughing at your joke stuff is very obvious, so don't mess it up at this point. Now, if your jokes are genuinely funny, then you can attract her this way, but please, God forbid, do not mess this up. If she's clearly laughing at your jokes when they aren't funny and they're bombing, especially amongst other people, this is a very obvious sign of interest. The eighth way she demonstrates interest is to banter with you. And as you can see my little picture right here, that friendship where you can't tell if the joking is flirting or banter. This is sort of what they like, actually. They enjoy this. Now, by banter with you, I mean she will playfully poke at you or basically try to make fun of you or something along those lines. But she's doing it playfully. Now, this is obvious. And if you actually have seen my previous video on shit testing, this is actually subconsciously a shit test. And once again, women do not shit test men they are not interested in. No, it's absolutely nothing. I'm kidding. Haha. Why did you swipe right? What are you looking for? I'm looking for a guy who stole my bike 5 years ago. Basically, this is the girl. This is the girl. This is the guy. I did. What are you going to do about it? Basically, he's joking that I did steal the bike. What are you going to do about it, right? So that's being a little playful. Now, there's other ways that she can be playful, but this is less of a shit test. this is more of just banter, you'll know a shit test banter when you see it, because if you've seen my video on shit testing, you'll know what I'm talking about. The ninth way that she demonstrates interest is she lets you take leadership and she submits to you. This is a super, super rare thing that you find today. So if you do find this today, then I would recommend really seeing if that girl has potential, because that's super rare. You're not going to find that too often, especially in Western society. Now, if she is letting you make the decisions and letting you take leadership and is not fighting back against those decisions and accepting them, this is a huge W. You have found a very, very rare kind of woman. That's like top 1%. Okay. Most women today are just red flags, non-stop red flags, because of how their conscious wiring is interfering with their subconscious wiring. Now, in today's day and age, this is really rare, and you probably won't encounter this too often because of a couple reasons. One of the reasons that you won't encounter this is because the modern era and women's independence have consciously been teaching women that they should be making their own decisions and such, and basically not letting a man tell them what to do, yet their subconscious wiring and biology is telling them the exact opposite thing. And because of this, they are at a sort of internal dilemma. Now, this is why you hear the classic thing of maybe women saying, I want a man to lead me, and then later she might say, but I don't want them to tell me what to do.
Want leadership. But don't just like boss me around, you know? Like lead me. Lead me when I'm in the mood to be led.
And this is, by the way, a great example of their conscious and their subconscious wiring basically fighting each other. And there is an internal dilemma. Their conscious wiring is saying, I don't want a man to tell me what to do. But their subconscious wiring is saying, I want a man to lead me. This makes no sense whatsoever. And now it actually makes more sense, hopefully. And it's because of the subconscious and the conscious wiring. And when you, once again, if you find a woman who will let you take leadership, and this is also once you've demonstrated that you are actually masculine, which go check out my relationship playlist if you haven't, because you have to be a masculine figure in order for her to do this. If you're not a masculine figure, she's not going to let you take leadership. And you're going to experience a lot more problems down the line, like arguing. That's not normal. The 10th way that she demonstrates interest is she will change her schedule or plans for you. As I've mentioned before, this is basically the emotionally investing part. Now, this is a really good example, and as you can see right here, this woman basically is just changing dates in and out for when she can and can't see you specifically. And this is because you are the primary thing on her mind. Now, let's say she originally was going to go out with friends or maybe talk to friends online or play video games with them, or it doesn't really matter, okay? She basically was originally going to do something else, and then she suddenly changes her plans instead to be with you when you asked her last minute on something and you said, hey, I want to go here. Let's go here. And she said, yeah, sure. This is a really good indicator of interest. Now, if somebody really cares about somebody, once again, this is a conscious versus subconscious thought and intention, then they will change their plans for them. And if they don't, they won't change their plans for them. It's really simple. The same thing applies to men as well, not just women. So if a man is willing to change his plans with you as well, then there's a really good sign. He cares about you, which is what women are able to see, by the way, and men aren't able to see for some reason. The 11th way of her demonstrating interest, subconsciously more so, is biting her lip. Now, this is a telltale sign of lust and desire. And you can see this really common, but this only applies to men usually that are physically attractive, not necessarily attractive by demonstrating pre-selection in other ways. But she can get to this level if you have been demonstrating pre-selection quite well, not just being physically attractive though. Which once again, go check out how to demonstrate pre-selection and go check out the entire relationship playlist so you can learn all of this in way more detail, and it's all free. I should be charging hundreds of dollars for this and I don't. And the reason I keep it for free is because I don't want society to collapse, because right now it looks like it's heading down that road. Not a good one. And if you really are interested in what I mean by that, demographic implosion is one clear example. Divorce rates is another clear example. I mean, there are so many examples of it occurring today, or it looks like it is headed towards that direction. Not pretty. The 12th way that she demonstrates pre-selection is she leans into you while you are talking. Now, if you start leaning backwards when you're talking because you're just like relaxing or whatever and getting more relaxed, and she starts leaning forwards, that is a really good sign that she is interested in you. And at the very least, what you're talking about is really interesting or captivating, and you're telling good stories, which once again, That is one of the ways to demonstrate pre-selection. Tell a really good damn story. If you are good at telling stories, though, then please keep telling stories because everyone loves a good story, especially one that's unexpected and a little bit strange. Now, what can you take away from this entire video? This right here is all about real life applications. That's what my entire channel is about. It's all about real life application of knowledge. So you can learn something and then you apply it to real life. If you can't apply it to real life, it's kind of pointless then. And the reason for this is because you know how women show interest, and you can also start to test other women's interest in you by reversing this and switching it up the other way around. Now, a real quick example of how you can reverse engineer one of these things is you can test a woman's interest and start actually applying the shit test back to them by not texting her anymore and seeing if she reaches out to initiate continually. This is a man demonstrating the shit test, not the woman. So I know it's like really crazy, but I really do believe that the masculine has to be able to do both. The masculine has to basically be able to do everything. Now, this is where I believe the masculine has to basically know a ton, and why the masculine has to know a ton. And it's because with great power comes great responsibility, and they have more access to the conscious thought and learning. And because of that, they can actually apply this and see this in real life. And they get to see whether or not certain things exist or won't exist, and they can start shit testing women as well and seeing the subconscious of how the woman is thinking about them. Super important stuff. There's a reason why in the masculine video of how to demonstrate masculinity, one of them is know a lot about a lot. This is one example. Now, my personal best way for testing interest in maybe another girl is just not to text somebody at all, or basically not initiate the texting at all, and see how long it takes for them to reach out. Now, this is a clear demonstration of interest on their part, and it will show them their interest level in me. Now, you can do this not necessarily with people you're romantic with, but it could also be people you, for instance, are looking at and you're going, well, I don't necessarily know if investing in this person as a friendship is really that worth it. Yeah, that sort of a thing. So thanks again for watching. If you found the video helpful or informative, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below because it really does help the channel grow. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments. If there's any sort of video that you want me to react to as well, once again, throw it down in the comments below. If you have any content suggestions of what you want me to talk about, throw them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys learned something valuable and actually applicable to real life, and I'll see you in the next one.